Guyana has doubled their flight pool over the last decade, and the reason why is fascinating. This is part 8 of ranking countries based on how many places they fly to directly. First up is Gambia, who flies to 13 countries. Gambia flies to a majority of West Africa, plus the Netherlands, Belgium, Portugal, and Turkey. El Salvador has a pretty similar flight path to most of the Central American countries. It leaves the area for flights to the US and Spain, as well as Colombia, Peru, and a semi-rare flight to Ecuador. Fiji is the most populous of the Oceania Island region countries, and as a result, it has a large flight path. It hits most of the small islands around the area and has a fun web. The coolest flight I found is one out to Christmas Island, which is one of the most remote places I've seen. There's only a few flights that go out into this area, and one from Australia takes almost 4 hours to get there. I mean, zooming out on this map, you can see how remote it is. There's nothing around it. Next up is Brunei, who flies to 14 countries. There's nothing too crazy about where Brunei flies to, but I was just not expecting them to fly to this many countries. Seychelles has a similar flight path to Cabo Verde in the fact that they don't fly to as many African countries. Rather, they fly to larger countries in Asia and Europe. Like, you wouldn't expect Seychelles to have direct flights to Russia, Germany, Switzerland, Israel, UAE, India, and Sri Lanka, but they do. Guinea hits a majority of the West African countries, with most of their flights being local. As I mentioned in the intro, Guyana's flight path has doubled over the last decade. In 2013, it was 6, and it currently is 13. And the reason why is that they found substantial oil in 2015. So over the last decade or so, they have been figuring out processes to harvest this oil and let it help the economy. As a result, their economy has more than quadrupled, with it being 4.28 billion in 2015 to over 17 billion now. Mali's flight path confuses me. I genuinely don't get why it flies to Benin and Togo with a combined population of 20 million, but doesn't fly to Niger, Nigeria, and Ghana with a total population of nearly 300 billion. That just doesn't make sense to me. So if somebody has the answer to that, please let me know. Tajikistan is one of the widest flight spreads yet, but it only goes to 14 countries. It also has 11 flight destinations in Russia. I guess I miss Big Bro. And finally, Burkina Faso heads around most of West Africa and North Africa. That's all for part 8. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in part 9.